Hi everybody, I'm Itai Sharfi and I'm a professor at Cal State Fulton. I'm supporting my students as they're looking for employment, and one of the things that they told me that they're very interested in is to make a better resume. So in this video, I'm going to talk about 7 rules for organizing your work experience in your resume. So this is my fourth video in the series. The first thing that's very important is deciding on the priorities, and that will decide the hierarchy of how you organize your resume. You need to organize the sections in order to showcase your strongest points first. Those might be academic achievements, or it might be work experience. That highly depends on the position and the experience that you have. What you would like to avoid is to include in sections that do not add value. For example, I saw in multiple resumes of somebody with maybe a year or two of experience, some generic statement of interest at the top. Those are not needed and I think would be better covered in a cover letter. Another tip is if your font is too small or you played with the margins, potentially you have too much content and rethink your priorities. The second rule is about professional/paid experience. So this is the section that's sometimes called experience or work experience. This is the area where you need to clearly list any paid experience that's relevant for the position. Now, for each one of those roles, just make sure to include the time frame. If it's been, let's say, short few years, you also want to include the months. You want to include that the location. That's also quite important when you write something like remote. People may not know if it was even in the US. And you want to include the relevant responsibility and accomplishment. Make sure, and I talked about this with other videos, that this section is relevant for the position that you're applying to. So, for example, sometimes something that might be tempting is you will try to write something that's quite impressive, like say machine learning experience, but you're actually applying for web development. So just make sure it's relevant. The next rule number 3, is about internship. If the internships are relevant, they should go under work experience, paid or not. Do not forget to mention it's an internship. As you probably know, when you write in work experience, you need to write which position you held. So just write the position and the fact that it was an intern. University activities. There is a place where you specify your academic achievements. That's where some university roles like teaching assistant goes under. Now, someone might say, why doesn't go into work experience? Is because if it's not directly beneficial to that position or demonstrates something quite strong about yourself, it might water down the work experience sections. You probably want to be more focused. If it's not strongly relevant for the position, think twice about your priorities. The next section is projects. This is a very important bonus part of your resume, especially if you worked for a short time or no time at all. Maybe you have just academic experience. This is the point where you showcase projects that are not affiliated with employment or potentially with some academic coursework. So this is the project section. Now, try to prioritize it and put the most important things that you need to highlight. Think of it as like a gap filler if you're missing some experience or maybe something that will demonstrate something about your personality and how you might be a fit for this role. Don't have like maybe 5 bullets for projects that together took maybe something like a year. Make sure, as with work experience, to list the time because it's unclear sometimes if a project was maybe a month or a year. The next rule, rule number 6, is consolidation and clarity. You want to make sure that you're not fragmenting your resume where not necessary. For example, if you had something that I've seen in many resumes, if you have roles multiple roles within the same company. Sometimes they have multiple entries. That might appear on the side that you might have changed job and had short term of employment. Well, maybe you just got promoted. So you want to make sure that it's very clear that this is the same company, the same work experience. If it was progression, you can write your last title and just write how you progressed through time. And you can have, again, separate entries for each one, separate bullets under this entry for each one of the different activities that you had with this company. Remember that when somebody is reading your resume, they might not know exactly what even your company is doing. So if you need to explain in short what the company is doing, please do that. Use clear and concise language, and also the STAR method. I talked about this in another video. STAR is situation, target, action, results. Just that somebody that reads your resume could easily understand what you've done. The last rule is validation point. When you're writing things, what can be validated? For example, if you worked at a certain company, that can be validated. If you have a GitHub, that can be validated. So for example, GitHubs are very useful to know, to validate the quality of your work. If you've done a project, especially if it's a project of your own, put that code into GitHub, put that link, and let people see that. If you released an external products, do that too. You can include that. And if you had any papers, include them as well. If you enjoyed this video, press like, and would appreciate if you can forward it to other friends that you have who might benefit from that as well, maybe as they're working on their own resume. Thank you very much.